And it's where you have come to an agreement about what commission you're going to pay your buyer broker. So then you're going to start searching for your home. We're going to make sure that you have access to every listing available in the multiple listing service. We'll set you up with an automatic search on the multiple listing service. You tell me what you want. I'm going to put all the information in a search criteria and send you emails as often as you want them. Do you want them as soon as the house comes on the market? Sure. I'm going to tell you that's going to be a lot of emails. If you want them once a day, twice a week, whatever you want, we'll have that conversation. And that can change. Your price can change. Your needs and requirements can change. Your areas can change. We bought a house 2 years ago and we started looking in one area and ended up buying in a completely different area a year later. Now, depending upon where you're looking, what your price range is, and what your requirements are, it can take you a month, 2 months, 6 months to find a house to buy. It just depends on what houses are coming on the market and where your price range hits. So you found it. You found the absolute one. You walked in and went, "Oh my God, this is perfect. This is so fabulous. This is where I see us living the rest of our lives." Please don't say that in the house just in case there are any cameras. But this is where you're going to sit down with your realtor and prepare your offer. As your realtor, they should be preparing you a CMA, a comparative market analysis, to make sure that that property is priced well. If it's overpriced or underpriced, maybe you can build in some of your closing costs with your offer. We're going to speak to that listing agent, the realtor who has the property listed, asking some interesting questions like, hey, are there any other offers on the property? And hey, seller, are you interested in compensating the buyer broker on the buyer's behalf or paying some of the buyer closing costs? These are all things that can help you decide whether that's the one for you or maybe it's that other one. You could be between a couple of houses, right? We're going to send that offer, copy of your lender letter, the earnest money information to that seller's agent. Hopefully that seller is going to look at your offer and go, perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. It's accepted. The probability is there's going to be a counteroffer. But if the seller can also say, nope, not even look, this isn't even in the ballpark, we're rejecting it. If there's a counteroffer, then buyer, you get the choices. You get to say, okay, I'll accept that counteroffer, or nope, I'm going to counter that back, or nope, walking away, going to find another house. Okay. When they've accepted your offer, congratulations, part 2 starts. And it involves a lot of paperwork. Now, you've already spoke to Greg. You've got that, yay, we're gonna go ahead and use Greg as our lender. Greg's going to need a formal written application for the loan. They're going to make sure he's already gotten a lot of your information. They're going to need it again, everything updated, and everything tailored to the address of your soon-to-be home, right? That lender is going to do a couple things. They're going to order an appraisal of the property, and they're going to work with the title company, as I'll work with the title company, to make sure that the title is clear and that the survey is accurate. The lender also wants to make sure that you have homeowners insurance. Okay. I kind of went up on this. The time between contract and settlement in Maryland, depending upon your loan type and how together you are with getting all the information to your lender, it could be as little as 3 weeks. It's most likely going to be more like 45 days or a little bit more. And there's going to be time periods in that loan, in that contract, where we have to meet. So if we're having a home inspection, which I highly recommend, you only have 7 to 10 days after the property goes under contract to get that to get that home inspected. Some of the things that might need to be inspected include a well or a septic system, or you're going to do tests to detect radon or mold. You have to do those pretty quick because they need time to get the test reports back. This home inspection report can be used to say, hey, seller, we still want to buy your house, but there's a few things we want to change. We would like you to fix, right? We're also going to be working with the title company. That title company is going to be examining that title, making sure that the settlement occurs in a legal manner. They're going to make sure that um, the seller's loan's paid off, that your loan proceeds are there, ask you how you want your survey, how you want your title insurance, all those sort of good things. On settlement day, most of it's done, right? Everything is pretty much done by settlement day. All you're going to have to do is show up and settle. Right before the settlement, we're going to need to make sure that your funds have been transferred to the title company, that the utilities have been set up in the new owner's name, and we're going to do a walk through the property to make sure that all of the appliances are still working and are still there, and any repairs you asked for have been done. Um, and now you're just signing. Make sure you have some photo ID. Make sure that your fingers are all limbered up. And get the new keys to your home and enjoy it. And like I said, I was gonna have my information again. And I think I made it right in about 10 minutes. So
You did. You did. Thank you so much, Susan.
I set a timer on my watch. So if were there any questions?
If anyone watching has a question, please feel free to put it in that Q&A box. But for now, I know first-time buyers, they get a lot of advice from their
Hmm.
friends, from their family, from their coworkers. Anyone who knows that you're buying a home will probably have a couple things to tell you, whether you want to hear them or not. So how does a realtor kind of help manage all of those opinions and expectations that are given to them?
Um, I sometimes joke that I've always looking for an orphaned friendless client that works from home without coworkers. Um, but sometimes you have to, ask them questions like, okay, well, how long ago did your family member or friend buy a house or sell a house? So that we're gonna have to manage that expectation of, um, you know, they actually know what they're talking about. I sometimes, you know, will bring them more information about something that somebody said. Oh, because if it's a concern, I want to make sure that their concerns are addressed. We want our buyers to be happy with the houses they bought, right? We want our sellers to be happy with the process of the selling as well. But we need to make sure that we've educated as much as possible our buyers and sellers. Like Cy Sims used to say, an educated consumer is our best customer.
Great, thank you so much.
Did that help
And
at
so
all?
also um there are so many realtors in Maryland. There's
Hmm.
30,000
Yep.
realtors to choose from in Maryland. How does a buyer find the right realtor for them? What to ask, what to look for, would you recommend?
Well, this is where your family and friends can come in handy. If you have a friend who bought a house recently, ask them, how was your agent? Would you use them again? And if they say no, well, there's one to cross off your list. Um, what you want to ask your realtor as you're getting ready to look for a house to buy, well, one, they've got to work where you want to be. We are required to be experts in our areas, and you're not going to want somebody in Prince George's County to sell you a house on the Eastern Shore, right? You want somebody who works in the Eastern Shore, knows the ins and outs of the regulations on the Eastern Shore. Um, so that's one. Make sure they're working where you want to be. Um, Make sure that they've had some experience. I've done this for 28 years. Um, but that doesn't mean a brand new agent's not going to be helpful because a brand new agent is going to have somebody like me standing behind them telling them what to do. Um, and you want to make sure that they've got your best interest at heart. We're supposed to. That's our charge. When we've accepted agency, we are supposed to have the the primary interest be the client's interest, the buyer or the seller, whomever we are representing. Um, and look at reviews online, ask questions, ask your friends. I always, do that old recommendation of at least three. Talk to at least three people.
Question has come in. What if you've chosen a realtor, but it's not working out? Will you have to start over the process? So what are some recommendations if you've chosen a realtor and maybe it's not a great fit?
Well, there is always a way to get out of your your agreement with your realtor. And you don't have to do everything over. You only have to do the brokerage agreement over. Um, there are some um, uh, addenda in the brokerage agreement that says if you saw a house with that person or they wrote that sales contract for you that was accepted, then they're still owed a commission. The best thing to do if the salesperson isn't doing well for you, but you like the brokerage generally is to go to the branch office manager or the broker of that brokerage and ask to be reassigned to a different agent because you are not getting along with that agent. If there's no contract in place, it's kind of no harm, no foul, as long as you don't end up buying a property that realtor showed you. Does that help? I
I would
hope.
say so. Yeah, and that's part of the reason that like asking, like you said, asking three different realtors and finding that good fit. There are a lot of realtors to choose from, and they are all adhering to that code of ethics. So they should be having your interests as like the core of everything that's going on in this transaction for you. You are their fiduciary. They owe you
Yes,
fiduciary duties. Big word there. Um, but so that's something that you also want to make sure you're working with someone that you trust to do that for you and help guide you through this process.
absolutely.
Um, would you recommend a realtor for new construction? How does new construction
Yes.
differ from anything else?
The least protected a buyer can be is walking into a new construction, a new home's sales office without a realtor. That is the least protected you can be. The contract for new homes is so slanted to the builder. I mean, I've nothing against builders. They're protecting themselves, but they don't use the contract that we use between buyers and sellers. Um, they use their own contract, and that is a very slanted to protect them contract. Some of them I've even seen that are like, we'll tell you when your house is going to be ready, but we can do it at any time within 2 years or 3 years from the date of contract. You're expecting to move in 6 months. It's not done in 2 years or 3 years. That can be a really hard pill to swallow. Make sure that you have a realtor. And I even recommend an inspection. They'll offer you a pre-drywall inspection and a final walkthrough inspection a couple of days before settlement where you get to like mark up everything that they forgot to do. Um, but having a professional look it over, even with just a quick walk and talk, which is a thing inspectors do. They'll do like a 45-minute walk around the property. It's not as expensive as a full inspection, and it's not as extensive as a full inspection, but they'll catch the glaring things that you as a brand new homeowner might not catch.
Awesome.
I
Thank you
also,
so much. Sorry,
No
Susan.
problem. I also recommend inspections for newly renovated houses because gosh knows what happened with those.
Good advice. Good advice. Thank you so much, Susan. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to Greg, our lender for the evening.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you all can hear me good. I was having some technical difficulties on my laptop, so it's not a prank. If you're going to see me in one screen, but you're going to hear me in another. So let me go ahead and share my screen now. Give me 1 second here. Okay, perfect, perfect. All right, so my name is Greg Lewis. Again, thanks for showing up. Congratulations on taking this step just to get educated and get informed about the process. My company is called Fairway Mortgage. How I like to explain it, I'm not a bank per se. My company is not a bank, but I do work parallel to banks when it comes to residential financing. And that's my only responsibility compared to some of our other competitors, your Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, Chase, Bank of America, a lot of banks that you all have heard about, but we only do residential mortgages. A little bit about myself. Um, if you've seen me in person, you would assume that I played basketball. I am a former basketball player, played in college, played a little bit of pro. I got into the lending business by being a real estate investor, believe it or not. Just very keen on money, and I learned to respect money. I learned to value money, and I wanted to then help people understand real estate through real estate investing. All right. Uh, donate to a couple nonprofits and nonprofit organizations in the area. Myself, I'm personally from Baltimore, but I work through the entire DC, Maryland, Virginia areas. Um, a big part of my process is making sure every buyer knows their options. All right. I'm big on saving money. I'm also big on just understanding your options and knowing what you're about to get yourself into. To kind of just break down all the myths that's out there. There's really only 4 mortgages out there, and that's everything on your screen. All right. The first one is conventional mortgage. All right. This is a highly credit score driven mortgage. It's preferred that you have at least a 680 credit score or better to receive, I would say, best terms. All right. When I say best terms, I'm talking interest rate, mortgage insurance, relatively cheap down payment, depending on occupancy status. Right. The second mortgage type is called an FHA loan. All right. This is the more popular loan, I would say, at least in my experience talking to a number of buyers every week. FHA is popular because it's typically associated with first-time buyers, but you do not have to be a first-time homeowner to receive an FHA loan. In fact, you can have 5, 6, 7 homes and still get an FHA loan. All right. FHA loan is a government-backed mortgage. And how I like to explain it is it's very lenient on credit. So this is the loan where, fortunately, you can have, for us, at least at Fairway, you can have a 580, 590, 600, 620 credit score and still have a chance at being approved for the house. All right. Third loan type is called a USDA loan. Not so popular, but this is another government loan, really put in place for agricultural usage. How I like to explain it is most of you have drove through a rural area before and have seen probably an acre, multiple acres of land. And you probably see one house all the way in the back. That's probably more than likely a USDA qualified property. Again, put in place for agricultural use. Not so much in 2024. There are some areas qualified in city areas, but again, this is the origin. And then lastly, you have your VA loan. All right, if you served in any of their major branches as a veteran, and you're considered a veteran and you've been there for at least 2 years, more than likely you can have access to using a VA loan. A big incentive about VA loan, as well as USDA, there is no down payment. So that's always a good use for any VA folks on the call. Let's get past this. So how do you qualify for a mortgage? And simply put, this is the major components of the application. All right, as a lender, my job is to assess the risk of us lending you $300, $400, $500,000. And simply put, it's assessing, are you going to pay us the money that we give you, right? How do we do that? We look at your income. All right, so for any of my W-2 employees on the call, we are looking at pay stubs, most recent 30 days of pay stubs, actually. Sometimes we even look at your year-end pay stubs for the last 2 years. If you're someone that is maybe, for example, a seasonal worker, we are going to assess that. If you're self-employed, we're looking at tax returns. That is technically your pay stub for your business. All right, we are looking at debts. Credit is usually the biggest dictator on which program we utilize, what's going to be best and beneficial for you. But this is also a biggest dictator on how soon we can actually be pre-approved. Credit, I'll go further. I have to look at everything. So I do have access to doing a soft pull, or I can do a hard pull. I do recommend a hard pull if you are very close to wanting to buy a house. For example, if you say, Greg, I would like to apply today, and I know that I'm looking to buy a house in the next 45, 60, 75 days. If it's that soon, I would recommend doing a hard pull so we get organize everything for credit. We get all the facts on the table so we can avoid any surprises. Employment history, for most lenders around the country, we're going to, it's mandatory that we have a 2-year history, all right, regardless if it's self-employed, W-2, or a combination of both. But it is a 2-year history. So that's where those W-2s come into place. All right, if you're buying now, I'm looking all the way back to 2022. All right, if you're self-employed, it's preferred that you have self-employed history dating back to 2022. All right, and then obviously, once you find a house, we have to appraise the house. We have to make sure that the house is valued at actually what you're buying it for, to not just protect you as the buyer, but protect us as the lender. Down payment, closing costs, and prepaid and cash reserves. These are all things that I talked about in the pre-approval process to let you know, one, how much does this projected house that you're looking to buy, how much is it going to cost for down payment, closing costs. Susan eloquently talked about just projected price. Projected percentages for down payment, closing costs. So typically it is as low as 3% for down payment for first-time buyer. And then for closing costs, again, it's anywhere from 3.5% to 5% I've seen lately. All right. Biggest question that I get all the time, probably every day, how much can I afford? I always say it's better to keep your money as opposed to is not how much you make, but it's how much you actually keep. All right, if you follow me, credit, your debts against your income tells us as a lender how much you can actually afford. So it's not about what Greg personally thinks. You buying that $500,000 home or $600,000 home. It's really what your credit tells us. It's a formula. It's all your monthly revolving debts, installment loans, against your gross monthly income. That tells us how much space, how much of a mortgage payment that you can actually afford. All right, here at Fairway, I am of course biased. I'm a top loan officer in the state of Maryland, but my company is a top mortgage company in the entire country. We have a number of products and programs for any buyer to take advantage of, not just first-time buyers, but repeat buyers, investors. Pretty much, I always say if it has a house, if it has a roof and a door on it, more than likely I can get it done. Right. So again, we do offer FHA, VA, conventional renovation loans. We do construction, as Susan was just talking about. Here lately, I'm sure everyone has heard about the rate spike since a couple years ago. Fortunately, hopefully rates do go down soon. I'm hoping, cross my fingers. But we do have products that can help leverage kind of easing into that maybe not so desired monthly payment by rate buy downs. We have adjustable rate mortgages. We have a product called Lock, Shock, and Go, where even at the pre-approved stage, if we can lock your rate while you shop for a house, that's been really beneficial over the last 2 years. And then down payment assistance programs are always highly sought after. Maryland Mortgage Program is a program that I heavily rely on for first-time buyers in the state of Maryland. It's reliable. The money's always there compared to maybe some other programs. But at Fairway, if it's out there, I've likely have done it, or we have access to the funds from Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Anne Arundel County, again, PG County, and I've also worked in DC and Virginia if anyone's interested out there. I thought it would be cool to put this slide in there just to kind of give some perspective on rates. Don't quote me, please don't quote me, but just to give, again, perspective, where rates are at today. Everything's usually based on credit for the most part. Credit and size of your down payment typically tells us what your rate is going to be. All right, great credit is 720 plus. Good credit is anywhere from like maybe your mid 600s and up. And low to moderate credit, I would say from 580 to mid 600. All right, and lastly, I'll leave you all with this. How do you measure a loan officer or a good lender? For me, again, like to be effective. Again, my investment background doesn't like to mess up with money. I like to be accurate up front. I don't like surprises. So my goal is just, again, being strategic up front, making sure that there's no nightmares, not just for you, for the entire team, for Susan, for the title company, making sure that everyone can kind of go to sleep at night, making sure that this deal is going to close. Someone that's communicating every step of the way, problem solving. Real estate is not a perfect industry. Every professional on this call knows that. There's going to always be humps in the road. There's always going to be something that make you raise your eyebrow or ask questions about. But just know that you really want to choose a team, a lender, and realtor that have experience. They are problem solvers. They have a wide range of knowledge, experience, and resources. And then lastly, I'll just say, for me, is your lender able to close fast? That's been a big thing in the last couple of years. How does your lender separate themselves in terms of the actual loan process? And that's it. I won't talk your all heads off to death. I'm sure we have some questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Greg. Thank you so much for all of that information. That was incredibly helpful. We do have a few questions that have come in, including how much does credit card debt impact loan qualification? You know, does late payments do anything? What if there's no late payments? That kind of thing.
Yeah, great question. So it's ideal that you shouldn't have any late payments within the last 2 years. But however, government loans are a little bit more lenient, such as FHA. So rule of thumb is you're not supposed to have more than one in the last year and not more than two in the last 2 years. Great question.
How does credit card debt, if you don't have any late payments, is that something to be worried about in terms of qualifying for a loan? Is there like a limit where you'd be worried? Anything specific?
If you don't have any late payments, I'm happy. I'm really happy. That alleviates the risk on the loan. Certainly in the credit department. So yeah, I'm happy about that.
Awesome. If you own an investment property in a business name or own a property in your self-directed IRA, but do not own a property in your own name, do you qualify as a first-time home buyer?
Um, technically, you can. If it is in your business name, if it's not attached to your social security number, if your personal name is not on the title deed, technically you are a first-time buyer.
Sounds like it would be a good question to talk over with a lender specifically. But also, can you talk about, so how do you qualify? What is the definition of a first-time home buyer?
Yeah, by lender definition, first-time home buyer means that you have no properties, not just a mortgage, but a property in your name, no matter where it's located in the globe. So you may have a property in the Virgin Islands or Jamaica. You're no longer considered a first-time buyer, I'm sorry, if that property is in your personal name.
And is there a time limit? Like, say you owned a property 10 years ago with a spouse, and you haven't bought again since then, and you haven't owned that property for 10 years, can you requalify for some of these programs?
Absolutely, absolutely. The threshold is 3 years. So if you're 3 years without any ownership of any properties, you are considered a first-time homeowner.
Awesome. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to Jim from Freddie Mac. Thank you so much, Greg.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jackie. And first, I'd like to commend Maryland Realtors for, really providing a great service to the constituents in the state of Maryland. We've been doing this all year, and it's really been a great experience. And you're topping it off with, two really great subject matter experts like Susan and Greg tonight. So audience, you're getting a treat, and I really commend you also for taking time out to to join us tonight. So I'm Jim Hall. I'm a senior affordable lending manager with Freddie Mac. Now, Freddie Mac is a mortgage company, but we are not in competition with Greg and Fairway Independent. Okay, they lend directly to the public, and we do not. We are what's called the secondary mortgage market. So what Freddie Mac does is we create mortgage programs, and then we go out and have lending partners like Fairway Independent and the Maryland Mortgage Program to actually put out there and as options for the public, and then they make the loans and fund the loans, and then what we do is we purchase the loans from our partners. So we keep the liquidity going in the housing markets. We're a government-sponsored enterprise. We were created and chartered by Congress in 1970. So we celebrated our 54th birthday this year. And we have thousands of lending partners throughout the country. We partner with housing finance agencies in every state. You are really fortunate in Maryland to have a housing finance agency like the Maryland DHCD that offers the Maryland Mortgage Program to you. So it is a very innovative program. They offer generous down payment assistance programs, and so we're all mission based. So one common theme tonight is partnerships. So we all partner together to help you, the consumer, find that home that meets your needs, and also to find that mortgage that you qualify for that that meets your needs also. So one of the major pillars here at Freddie Mac is education. And you've been hearing that from our speakers tonight, with Greg and Susan talking about how wise it is to be an educated home buyer and an educated mortgage applicant. And here at Freddie Mac, we have a financial literacy tool, and I'm going to share my screen now. And Jackie and the Maryland Realtors will be sending you copies of my slides also. So let me pull it up here. Okay, and there it is. Our financial literacy tool for consumers is called Credit Smart. It's been around for 20 years, and it's actually been updated the last 2 years. And on this first slide here, you'll see the web address in the bottom right-hand corner. So it's very interactive, and it will help you and guide you through the home buying process and the mortgage application process. It's free of charge. So, so one thing that you're establishing a lot of contacts tonight with a great loan originator like Greg and a great realtor like Susan, but you're also going to be able to walk away with something tangible. You'll be able to walk away with this program, Credit Smart, and it won't cost you anything. So with that, we'll talk about Credit Smart and how we broke it down. We broke it into two sides: the financial capability side and the homeownership education side. So on the financial capability side, we talk more about the essentials of home ownership, and the home buyer use side is for the immediate process. What you can do is you can set up your own dashboard, you can personalize it, you can track your progress, set goals, have a notebook. And like I said, it's very interactive. It's not something that you just do in one sitting. You can have a pause button, you can walk away from it. But again, it's a lot of valuable information. I wish I had when I became a home buyer many years ago. So this is the essential side. And as you can see, this is really a repository of a lot of knowledge for you that you will keep through your whole home ownership journey. And it helps you to set goals, teaches you the positives of earning and then spending, being a savvy borrower, planning to save, and also preparing and protecting. Buying a house is very exciting. So, you're working with that realtor, and then you're working with a loan originator, and you get that loan approved, and you close that loan, and you put the key in the door, and then voila, you're in the house, you're a homeowner. But there's so much more than that part of the process. You have to furnish the home, you have to take care of the home, you have to buy items for your yard, and that's where budgeting comes in, and learning how to take your earnings and then spending them. There's no harm in learning what a debit and a credit is, and so again, that goes back to preparing and protecting your asset, because this is probably the biggest financial decision you're going to make in your lives. And you really have to, get into a habit and make those mortgage payments. And by making your mortgage payments, you're gaining equity. So you're going to gain wealth through that. So it's very important to be able to understand that concept. And also, and it doesn't hurt to learn how to save money. I remember, okay, now, my wife and I, we purchased our first home in 1990, so it's 34 years ago. And I remember my dad said, "Jim, you need a rainy day fund. You're going to be a homeowner." And I was like, "Well, Dad, what's a rainy day fund?" He goes, "Well, things are going to happen, and you're going to need some quick cash, and to take care of things." And he was right. I mean, I remember we had owned the home for about a year and a half, and my wife and I, we came home and from work, and that night we found a mess in our basement. Our water heater went, and it flooded the basement, and our basement was partially converted, so it ruined the rugs. And I listened to Dad. I had some money. I took care of it while I put my homeowner's insurance claim in. But that, that's just an example of being prepared. And that's why, we're taking the time out to share with you, our experiences and, what it's like to be homeowners. And now the home buyer you side, this is for the immediate process. This is for, when you're working with Susan and you're working, with Greg. Okay, it's only 6 modules, and this is a financial literacy tool that's recognized nationally. It meets industry standards for homeownership education and counseling. Shouldn't take you more than 2 or 3 hours to do. And when you complete those 6 modules, you have to pass a test at the end, and you have to achieve 80% or higher. And once you do that, you get a diploma, completion certificate, which is good for 12 months. So it really has power behind it. And again, this is free for you. So if I'm a loan originator like Greg, and you've you've taken my advice, you did the Credit Smart program, you passed, you got your diploma. I know it's go time at that point. I really, I'm working hard for you, but I'm even going to work harder now because I know you are ready to get your mortgage approved and closed by me. So again, Jackie and Maryland Realtors will share these slides with you. Please take advantage of this. This is, like I said, something that we provide to you at no cost, and all it does is you'll gain a lot of knowledge through, through going through these courses, and with that, the old adage, knowledge is power. So the better you're educated, through this process, the less road bumps you're going to have, and it's going to be easier for you to communicate to your loan originator like Greg or your realtor like Susan. So Jackie, with that, I'm going to turn it back to you. And it's been a great year. So thank you again for having me, speak to your audience.
Thank you so much, Jim. All right, I know we have one question for you, Jim.
Oh, okay.
We do. The question that came through is home ownership counseling HUD approved?
Okay, well, we are not HUD. HUD is a separate organization. That is a government department, whereas we are just a government-sponsored enterprise. So HUD-approved counseling is, extremely acceptable also, and that meets national standards. But that's separate from what I'm promoting here from Freddie Mac. And most HUD counseling is done in person also, where Credit Smart is done online. Okay, there's no in-person events that have to take place.
Thank you so much, Jim. All right,
Oh,
and
you're
with that,
very welcome.
yeah, with that, let's take it over to Catherine Kramer-Dale from the Maryland DHCD.
Okay. All right, can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, well, this is exciting because this is probably the first time in a long time that there's been this much time for me to talk. So, my name is Catherine Kramer-Dale, and I'm with the State of Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development Administration. And we are a state agency. And what we do is we have so many different programs. If somebody is already a homeowner and you need to make modifications to your home based off weatherization or energy or accessible for any healthcare needs like widening doorways or ramps, think of our state agency. But tonight, you're going to learn about the programs that your state of Maryland offers to help you buy a home. Now, kind of like what Greg said earlier, I'll start off by telling you that you're going to go directly to one of our approved lenders. And we have about 134 lenders. But Greg is on here this evening because Fairway is one of our top performing lenders. And what that means is they do these so frequently that they could do it with their eyes closed. And it's a lot better to go with a lender that is more comfortable doing programs because they get done more efficiently, they're more effective, the turnaround time is a lot quicker. When you talk with a lender that's approved with the Maryland mortgage program, so let's say you reach out to Greg and say, hey, Greg, I was on the call. I'm really interested in buying a home. Greg's going to do all the normal stuff, income, assets, making sure you take home buyer education, pulling your credit, making sure your credit qualifies, making sure that you're eligible as a first-time home buyer, which he went over with you as well, and I'll touch on. When he determines that you're eligible for those programs he showed you, FHA, VA, USDA, or conventional, if you need money to help you purchase a home, that's where the state of Maryland Department of Housing comes in. Now, we let you borrow money. It's at no interest rate. You don't make any payments on what you borrow, but what you're borrowing is funds to help you with your down payment and closing cost. And even Greg mentioned earlier, it's great to have money saved, but we don't want you to use all of your funds so that when you get in the house, you don't have any money. And even Jim pointed out, and I'm around the same age as Jim, our parents tried to teach us, well, have that rainy day fund. You can't just move in a house and have nothing saved. So if you use the Maryland mortgage program, you have to meet our 6 guidelines. Yes, are you a first-time home buyer? Making sure you don't exceed our household income limits, making sure you don't exceed our asset guidelines. Because clearly, if you have a lot of money, you don't need to come to us because you don't need to borrow any of our money. But we also have home buyer education requirements, our DTI, and our credit score. And I'm going to show you the website. The website is www.mmp, which stands for Maryland Mortgage Program, at Maryland, MARYLAND.gov. And when you're on this homepage, anyone can get on it. Let's just go right to the interest rates, because everyone wants to know what products we offer, and we want to also look and see how the rates are trending. As Greg mentioned earlier, everyone is anticipating that the rates will go down. All right, in order to use a Maryland Mortgage Program loan, you cannot be on a deed or have any interest in any property anywhere in the world at the time of this closing. So if you own something right now, let's say I own a home, I'm an empty nester, I want to sell my big house, me and my husband want to downsize. If I went to Greg, I'd say, listen, I'm not a first-time home buyer. I own a home right now in Baltimore County, but we want to downsize. I don't need this big yard. I don't need, 4 or 5 bedrooms. It's just me and my husband now. He would say, hey, Catherine, you have to sell your current home. And even like Greg said, you can't have a property anywhere in the world. He said globe, but I'm going to say anywhere in the world at the time of this closing, because this property has to be your primary residence. You have to be living in it. So if you are not a first-time home buyer, and what is a first-time home buyer? A, somebody who's never owned a home anywhere. Clearly you are. B, somebody who hasn't been on a deed or had any interest in any property anywhere in the world in the last 3 years. Or C, we offer another opportunity. If you're a veteran and you are using your VA entitlement or your VA exemption along with proof of your DD 214, we will consider you a first-time home buyer. We have a VA exception form. Or we have another opportunity. If you are purchasing a property anywhere in the state of Maryland that shows up on this mapper that the lenders know to go on, they type in the property address. And if that property shows up that it's in a targeted area, woo, you're automatically a first-time home buyer. So let's say you own something right now and you are like, I'm not a first-time home buyer. So you would be doing the flex products because it's for somebody who's not a first-time home buyer. Can't own anything, but you're not a first-time home buyer because I own something right now. But if Greg pulled up the mapper and put in the property address that I was interested in purchasing, and it showed up that it was in a targeted area, I am now automatically a first-time home buyer. So then Greg could come over to the first-time advantage side, have far more selection of products to choose from that give you more down payment assistance, and the rates are lower on the left-hand side. So with the Maryland Mortgage Program, you don't have to be a first-time home buyer, but you can't own anything anywhere in the world at the time of this closing. And if you're not a first-time home buyer, then you would use the flex products. The lender would still verify that you also meet our household income, assets, home buyer education, DTI, and credit score. And then they would pick a product that they think is beneficial for you. If they can determine that you are a first-time home buyer, and again, you don't own anything anywhere in the world at the time of this closing, there's far more products that they can choose from that give you more money to help you with down payment and closing cost, and the rates are lower. These rates right here, these are the interest rates for your first mortgage. That's how your mortgage payment is calculated. And as Greg mentioned, it's conventional Fannie or Freddie. Government is FHA, VA, and USDA. We have a first-time advantage product where you say, I don't need any money from the state of Maryland. I just love this rate. It's the lowest rate out there on the street. I meet FHA, VA, USDA conventional guidelines, and I meet the 6 eligibility guidelines to do a Maryland Mortgage Program loan. Or you could say, no, I need money. I don't have a lot of money saved. I need to pay down payment, but I also have to pay closing costs. This is the rate for the first mortgage. Or then you can get a second mortgage at no interest, no monthly payments that you get to borrow from us, but you have to pay us back when you sell or refinance the property. This $6,000 is not a gift. It's not a grant. It doesn't get forgiven when you live in the house or stay in the program for a certain amount of years. All of our loans are fixed 30. And if you come to us and say, hey, I want to borrow $6,000 from you to help you with your down payment and closing, you have to pay it back when you sell or refi. Or you can get 3% of your total first mortgage, round down, no change. Or you can do 4%. The most popular product right now is 5%. So figure if you did, I don't know, a $310,000 loan and that was your total first mortgage, your lender would take 5%. You can do it, 5% times the loan amount, the total first mortgage, round down, no change. That's a significant amount of money that you're borrowing from the state. Again, these are all the different programs that the lenders can choose from. If you're purchasing in Montgomery County, they have different initiatives that we partner with Montgomery County to help you buy in Montgomery County. $25,000. We're going to let you borrow from us. We're not going to charge you any interest rate. You don't have to make any payments, but this money, you generally have to pay it back when you sell or refi. We have a program called the Maryland Smart Buy. It will help you purchase a home if you need down payment or not, and will help you pay off any outstanding student loan debt. So it's almost 7:27, so I don't have a whole long time to talk, but it's the most amount of time I've had to talk in a long time. We do these events because we have strong partnerships with the Maryland Association of Realtors. We have 134 lenders. You have to apply directly with one of our lenders. When you go on this website, you're on the home page. You scroll down to the bottom and you click on Talk to a Lender. And you're going to fill out information about your name, your contact phone number, your email address, and one of our top performing lenders will contact you. But you have one right here. Greg is phenomenal. He's very thorough. We wouldn't have him on this call if he wasn't. He will walk with you step by step, giving you the proper guidance, making sure that he taps into any and every program that's out there. You can get money for your mortgage, all right? You can get money in this bucket from us, the State of Maryland Department of Housing, through the Maryland Mortgage Program to help you with your down payment and closing cost. But Greg is also going to fill up other buckets. There could be other programs that are out there in either the city or the county where you might be purchasing. And you can get money in that bucket. You can get our bucket. You've got the loan from us and you bring all your buckets. And that the more money that you have, the less you're depleting any savings that you have and you're not walking into the house poor. Definitely make sure that you get all the information from this event and that you reach out to Greg and say, you know what, I really made the time to participate on this. I'm not ready right now, but I'll be ready in 6 months. A lot of people say, well, when do I start? Like, I know my goal is 6 months to a year. Start now. I applaud you during this Christmas season or holiday season to take the opportunity to be on this call. Reach out to the lender, get a pre-approval, know what you can afford, know what maybe you need to fix on your credit so that you're in a better position. And then once you get that approval letter, that's your ticket. Then you can reach out to the agent that's on our call, Susan, and say, hey, Susan, I got a pre-approval. Now I want to start looking. And then Greg will get back with us and say, we got a property, we got an approval, now we need some money. I want to thank you guys so much for participating on this. Again, remember, you apply directly with the lender and they will help you tap into utilizing our programs. Have a wonderful evening, happy holidays, and be safe.
Thank you so much, Catherine. If there are any other questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A box. If anyone's able to hang out for a little bit to get those answered, that'd be great. We're going to give you guys a moment to do that. Catherine, if you already have a lender that you've spoken to, or say you have one that's already been referred to you, is there a way for them to double check if that's a lender that works with MMP?
Yeah, so when you go on our website, I'll go on here one more time. You go on the website and in this little search box, I think this is a magical box. You can type in find an approved MMP lender. And you type it in there. It's going to bring you to this page telling you they can't find it. Go to here, say find a lender. And open up the printable list of approved lenders. And we have 135 lenders. It ranges. I mean, we're adding more and more. So you can look at this list and see who is on here. We are constantly adding lenders every day. So you might currently have a relationship with a lender. You might have a friend that works for one of these lenders. You may have already applied and you just want to verify that the lender is already on here. But Fairway Independent is one of our top performing lenders and they are phenomenal. So you have to be using one of our lenders in order to use the program. You can close a Maryland Mortgage Program loan, I would say within 45 days, but some lenders like Greg with Fairway, they do them so frequently, they could have your loan closed within 30 days. Once you have the approval and then you have your property with Susan, it's just a matter of everybody reviewing the file to make sure you qualify.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us tonight. I'm not seeing any other questions, except we have one last one that I believe, Susan, was for you. It came in just after Greg started. Is looking to purchase, I believe this was still on the new construction. If you're looking to purchase a new construction, is it better to purchase last to get one of the later builds? That might be very specific, but if you have any insight, Susan.
One of the best things you can do with a new build is, if you have a particular neighborhood in mind, definitely start following that builder's website. They will have what they call quick turnaround inventory or spec homes on their website. Those are homes that either they started for someone else, or if it's a townhome, they build the whole row of townhomes and hopefully they hope to sell them all before it's done. But these are houses that are usually within 45 days of being complete. And you can get some deals on that. They're probably not going to lower the price very much, but they might add in a few upgrades for free, like finishing a rec room in a basement or something like that.
Awesome. And okay, another one for you, Susan. What is recommended to do? How do you handle looking to buy a home if you're still in an apartment lease? How do you recommend trying to get that timing such that you're navigating kind of that, like maybe you have a year lease in place?
If you are currently 1 year out from your lease being over, now is a great time to start checking your credit, um, getting your lender lined up. Uh, like Greg said, they can do a soft pull, and check your credit and check your credit reports and make sure that there's nothing erroneous on there. There's nothing harmful on there. There are ways to get that stuff taken off, and most lenders can help you a little bit with that. Sometimes there's a fee for that, but sometimes it's just use us for your loan, please, and we'll help you get this off your credit, kind of stuff. Um, and then I'd say probably like 6 months out, start seriously looking at a property. Um, depending upon where you're buying and what your price range is, um, you're going to have a longer time looking for a house. I'll tell you, my son and daughter-in-law bought in Montgomery County. I was their realtor, of course, otherwise it would have been really awkward at Christmas. And it took them a year. I can't even tell you how many offers we wrote before we got one that was accepted. Um, Probably 10 or 15 offers on properties, and they actually took a couple of months off and came back um, when the interest rates just started going up in 2022, and they were able to get a property in Rockville that they're having they really love, and but it took a little time. Um, Unfortunately, most people I know that are like, well, we're in an apartment and we don't want to start looking right away. They'll find that right house right away. And then they have to decide, well, how am I going to get out of this lease? There might be something that can be done with the landlord, but most of the time you're going to have to continue to pay the rent at least until they find a new tenant.
But it sounds like, so even whether you've just started your lease or you've got a couple months left in your lease and you're really debating, it sounds like talking to a realtor, talking to a lender, telling them what your timeline is a
Yeah,
good place to start no matter where you are in that timeline.
exactly. It really is something that you want to make sure that you're getting the whole team on board. And we are a team. We've mentioned that several times, I think all of us. We work together. I'm working with your lender to figure out, like, hey, well, we've got this property. Is this going to work for them? Maybe the taxes are a little higher than another property, and is that still going to fit within your desired payment, right? Or it's got an HOA fee, or it's a condo. Those are all things that I'm going to have to talk to your lender about. And then if you're using the wonderful programs, Maryland Mortgage Program, um, it has to, have to make sure that it works with that. Um, USDA is, Greg mentioned it. It is a wonderful program, but it is for rural areas. So you're not going to be able to use it in Baltimore City, right? You're not going to be able to use it in most of Baltimore County, but you can use it in more rural areas. St. Mary's County, you can use it in most of St. Mary's County or Charles County, Calvert, a good part of Calvert, Harford County for sure. There are places where you
Yeah.
can use it. Carroll, so there's a lot of places in the state where you can use a USDA loan, and that's no money down, so that's always cool.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It looks like we are done with questions. Thank you again to our presenters for the evening, for sharing your knowledge and your expertise. And thank you, of course, everyone for attending. As a reminder, our next Your Home Buying Keys webinar is on January 9th from 6:30 to 7:30. Please share that date with anyone you think could benefit from this information or another soon-to-be home buyer in Maryland. Be sure to check out Maryland Home Ownership for more resources and information on home ownership. We wish you all the success in your journey. And if you have questions, please email webinar@mdrealtor.org. Have a great evening, everyone.
Night,
Night.
everyone.
Have a happy holiday season.